first and foremost, welcome to the Hormone Freedom Hour. As always, very excited to be here, Helen and myself. Today we're going to be talking about when willpower isn't working, right? You feel like you need to have more discipline to reach your health goals, whether your health goal is to drop a few pounds that have kind of crept on and just gotten in the way, whether it's to improve your sleep, so you feel like you can make it through that 2:18 a.m. wake up call, whether it's to have more energy and not rely on that second, third cup of coffee to plow through your day. A lot of times it's like, we think it's a matter of willpower and just doing more or being more disciplined. And okay, I'll start again on Monday. I'm going to start again on Monday. But today we're talking about why that's not actually the case. And there's usually a lot more deeper layers to look into so that willpower doesn't have to be the thing that you're relying on. So welcome. So glad you're here. For those of you tuning in to catch us on Facebook, if you're catching us on Instagram in the live stream, please let us know you're here. You can tune into the chat and just say live. If you come back and watch the replay, type replay. We'll circle back and answer any questions that come in, any comments that come up. And we're going to have a fun conversation today, Helen.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, this conversation about willpower is so near and dear to me because I relied on willpower for 20 years to try to release weight and to balance my hormones and to stop the night sweats and to wake up feeling refreshed. And it was like I was trying everything that I could do out of a need to be able to feel better, particularly with weight loss, in and out of diets. And we're really taught that, right, Amanda? It's like, I remember one of the diets, a 21-day fix. It's like, if you do this for 21 days, and you do it exactly in this way, and you fill up the containers in the exact way, then this result will happen. And that type of discipline that was required for 21 days was like white knuckling it through the entire time so that I could get this weight loss result. And what I didn't realize then that I know now is that I was totally focusing on the wrong thing. And I know, Amanda, you also have had experience with that too.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'll never forget, right shortly after my autoimmune diagnosis, and similar, it wasn't necessarily the weight loss wasn't the goal. It was to bring my autoimmune antibodies down. And it was very strict and rigid around the, elimination diets, remove gluten, dairy, eggs, soy, sugar, like all of these things. Right. And so I felt like I became so almost fearful of food because it was like, well, what is left for me to eat? That the whole conversation around how do I find foods that are quote unquote safe enough for me? That's stressful in and of itself. So, right. So living in that place of restriction, exact, I don't know, just discipline and structure overwhelmingly I find it to be unsustainable for long-term healthy living. And that's really what we're talking about is like, how do we step out of that and really move into a path of sustainability and, longevity.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not sustainable, right? If it was, then we wouldn't keep coming back to setting the same goals over and over and over again. And I think the mistake that most of us make is that when we're focused on that ultimate goal, we're focused on the goal that is a number or it's a some sort of like what you imagine to be the perfect thing. And so you expect this perfection out of yourself. And if you don't do it perfectly, then you quit because you don't want to feel like a failure. And something else you said, Amanda, that's really important is the fear, right? The fear of success, the fear of if I'm eating the right things, the fear if I'm eating, and the least amount of carbohydrates I can possibly have, or the fear of not exercising enough. Like all that fear really gets trapped in our bodies. And when we have fear trapped in our bodies, it's really hard to act from a place of feeling confident, of feeling like we can actually make progress and feeling like the health journey belongs to us. It's like it belongs to this other thing, right? And behavior is driven by more than just desire and willpower alone, right?
Totally. I mean, I feel like so many women that I come to that I work together with, when we're talking about them, they're like, oh, if I want it badly enough, then I'll follow through, right? If it's just like a matter of like, oh, I have to want it. My body should just be like able to like carry me through this discipline and this, and this rigidity. And it's honestly, your body's not a machine, right? Your body is influenced by so many different things, whether it's hormones, your blood sugar, your sleep that night before, stress levels, what's happening with other family members, like your children or aging parents, what's happening with your nervous system regulation, your energy availability. All of these different things are different systems that are ebbing and flowing every single day. It's not a static a steady state. It's not a machine that it's just put the inputs in and the outputs are going to happen. So when we have this like ebb and flow of all of these different systems, that's when things can get skewed and get way out of balance. And that's when our cravings increase. That's when our energy completely drops off. That's when motivation disappears and consistency starts to feel really difficult, right? So the takeaway here is I want to understand, if you're feeling those symptoms, if you're feeling the insomnia, if you're feeling, the 3 p.m. crash or brain fog. I walked into a room and I can't even remember what am I doing in this room? Like, why am I here? These are signs that your body is trying to get your attention. Your body is not broken. In fact, it's highly intelligent. Your biology is influencing your behavior, and health goals become easier when you can start to understand your physiology and start to support it in a way that's consistent and steady.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and the thing is that we want all of those things to come into balance, but the big question always is why? If it's just to lose a certain amount of weight, then you're literally, the word loss is in weight loss, right? I love to talk about releasing weight because you're releasing and you're becoming lighter, whereas weight loss, you're literally losing something. And we typically tend to focus on things like that. And that's really where we get it wrong, because all of those things that you said, Amanda, that physiologically really support us, those things aren't just getting better, but there's a part of us that is living health out so that we can be more present with our kids, so that we can work in a way that feels really nourishing, so that we can go for a hike, so that we can, there's so many different parts of ourselves that are way beyond numbers and that type of thing that are really important for us to celebrate and for us to embody. And those are the types of things that when we think about them, we can actually follow through with the actions that are going to help us physiologically feel better. It's like, if my hormones are in balance, if my energy isn't dropping, if my sleep is good, if my hydration is great, if my digestion is strong, and all those pieces that you help women with, Amanda, with the patterns that we talk about so much on the podcast, it's like, why are you doing all these things?
Okay.
Right? Like, what's the point? And at the end of the day, the point really is so that I can live a long life and be able to do the things in my life that I really, truly love. It's who am I becoming when I am the healthiest version of myself?
Yes. I always love to, when we're working with women, and I think that's so great to I'm just going to share a little bit about the Hormone Freedom Foundation's membership. Helen, you're so great at this every single month. You have a goal setting and an accountability, kind of set yourself up for success at the beginning of the month. And one of the things is like circling back to that why, circling back to how are you going to be, and how does this make a difference in your life? So many women that we get to work with, like there's this vision of when I reach a certain weight or when I have a certain level of energy, then I will be happy because, and it's kind of like, well, what's the because? Like, what would be different about your life? What are you doing? What are you not doing? How are you interacting with the people that you care about? Like, how does that change? And what happens if we start to practice those things first right now before you, quote unquote, have reached the outcome in your health, right? That's what we talk about, is like being who you were being in that place. And you do that so brilliantly in the beginning of every month in the foundation's membership, with that kind of like setting the frame for looking ahead at the month ahead. I just want to chime that in because I think that's so important.
Thank you. Thank you. It is. It's amazing what can change when people get out of their, their weight loss intentions or their surface intentions and really into their bodies and their hearts with like, this is the reason, because I am becoming a person who respects herself, who loves herself, who has confidence in herself. Because when you can see yourself in that way, and I always say this, Amanda, it's like, there's two ways of reaching your ideal health, right? You can muscle through it, you can use willpower, you can talk to yourself negatively, you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, God, I really need to get to the gym today. Or you can say, I am amazing, I'm strong, I'm a confident person who can follow through with the things that she sets out to do, and I'm so proud of myself today. And I want
Mhm.
every person in here to imagine the difference between going on a health journey from that place of self-criticism versus that place of self-confidence. And it really just takes imagining the healthiest version of yourself, not staring at yourself in the mirror thinking, what happened to me and what's wrong with me, but going in your head, even when you see yourself in the mirror, imagining that person in front of you and just saying, like, you are beautiful and perfect as you are, and you're on a journey to being the healthiest version of yourself. It's so
Mhm.
different like that. And there's really three things that I talk about in the membership that are really important that you can follow through with. It's very simple. It's the thoughts that you have, it's the nutrition, and it's the lifestyle. And Amanda and I talk about this all the time with the cycle that the steps that you go through in order to be able to balance your hormones. It is your thoughts, and it's the what
Mhm.
you're feeding yourself. It's the lifestyle that you have, and those choices that you're making are fueling the healthiest version of yourself every single day, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love you're thinking about asking these questions, right? So what are those key questions that you often like inspire and ask people to reflect on?
Mm-hmm. And it's that deep reflection that really helps create results, not just us, me or Amanda, telling you what to do, right?
Mhm.
It's eliciting from you, what is it that the healthiest version of yourself would really benefit from today? Because that shifts and changes as well. And instead of saying something like I need to do, I need to exercise today, I need to lose weight, I need to make sure I get my steps in, I need all of these things that I need, right? It's like grasping. And so we can even change our mindset and the way that we choose our words, because when I say I need, that does require willpower. Like I need it so much. It's like it's desperation. But if we can
Mhm.
come to it from a place of belief where I believe my success is inevitable and failure is just a way that I can learn, I choose to become stronger every single day, not I need to be stronger. And I respect myself instead of criticizing myself, right? So those places of believing in yourself, choosing to be the person that you want to become, and respecting yourself is the place that we want to be able to set intentions. And so other people get it wrong in that way too, Amanda, where they think that if they say, I need to do these things, that's enough for you to take action. But that place isn't sustainable because you feel down on yourself all the time.
Mhm. It's such a
So,
subtle distinction, but it lands so differently in
mhm,
our unconscious mind, right? And we always talk about
yeah.
like the unconscious actually is what drives behavior. That's all learning, all habit, and all change comes from the unconscious part of our mind
Mm-hmm.
instead of the conscious mind. So it's not even what we are consciously thinking about, like, oh, that would be good for me, or oh, the need comes from a place of like, oh, I have an awareness of an opportunity type thing. But unconsciously, when we think about like, oh, I believe my success is inevitable, that's sending a completely different signal through our nervous system and working with the unconscious part of us. If that's the belief system that's installed and that's operating, it's like then that success does become inevitable,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely. And I love how the evolution of the program, Amanda, in membership and in working with us one on one is that of setting those intentions and then moving through some of the more practical things, right? With balancing your hormones, nutrition, lifestyle, which we'll talk about in a second, but then really moving through working deeply in that unconscious mind is so important as a part of the journey of really becoming the healthiest version of yourself. And Amanda, earlier you were talking about your journey with the autoimmune disease and also all the restrictions that you had to put
Mhm.
on yourself and the way that that felt to you emotionally, mentally, just exhausting, even thinking about getting rid of everything.
Mhm.
Let's talk a little bit about nutrition that supports physiology, but the way that we can think about it a little bit differently so that we don't get stuck in that I have to and what am I eliminating place.
So really what flipped the script was, and actually this comes from my days in studying integrative nutrition and different, over 100 different dietary theories in this approach to adding in. And for so many women, especially the women that we
Mm-hmm.
support after age 40, what is way more prevalent is actually undernourishment rather than
Mm-hmm.
over nourishment. And believe it or not, what often causes the excess weight gain, the midsection, like bloating, is your cells don't have all of the vitamins, the minerals, and the amino acids, the antioxidants that they need to really be functioning at a high level, right? So when we think about metabolism is quite literally how well your cells can convert food energy into usable human energy, a unit of adenosine triphosphate, ATP. That's like a metric or a measure of human energy, right? And so we want all of our cells to be able to do that conversion process really effectively and efficiently, because then our cells, it's like having a car that's all gassed up and ready to go. It can work and it can operate like a well-oiled machine. The cell can do the job that it's designed to do, whether that cell is a cell in your liver and its job is to produce bile to help with excretion and neutralizing what comes through the GI tract, your gut tract, whether that cell is a cell in your heart and is responsible for pumping blood. All different cells have different jobs, yet every single cell needs to be able to generate ATP energy. And there are some core cofactors that are needed for all of those steps in that conversion process. So again, I'm getting a little technical here, but it goes back to, it's about this philosophy of actually focusing on what you're adding in more so than what you're restricting. So from a very simplistic standpoint, we love to talk about our one hand meal plan approach, PFFV, protein, significant amino acids. I like to talk about the proteins that come from animal-based proteins. Specifically, you can absolutely reach all of your needs from plant-based sources as well. However, just note that the volume tends to be greater. So if we're not eating animal proteins, the chances are we need to even eat more food to consume to get the volume of amino acids that are necessary to have the proteins to be able to build cells, right? Our cells are constantly replenishing. So protein is that first one. Fiber is another important component. Fiber-rich foods, things like your legumes, your nuts, your seeds, your whole grains. Fiber, I always think about, like, from a very simplistic standpoint, if you have your hand and you just take a scoop, if you were to like treat this like a spoon and scoop, you want at least a scoop size of serving of fiber-rich foods with every meal. For the protein, it's like a palm-sized serving at a minimum. I'm talking baseline minimums here at every meal, a palm-sized serving of protein, a scoop of fiber-rich foods. And the second F is healthy fat. So we think about healthy omega-3 fatty acids. And this is typically like a thumb. It doesn't need to be as large, but your olive oil, your avocado slices, your nuts and seeds, good walnuts, things like that. Chia seeds are great sources of healthy omega-3 fatty acids. And then V, vegetables. At a minimum, again, these are minimums here. Most women actually need more when we look at their micronutrient status, because these minimums they're not getting in, and they haven't been for many, many months, if not years. So they may need even more. But vegetable, a full fist of veggies. And we're talking with breakfast, with lunch, with dinner, and sometimes with snacks. So when we talk about this, Helen, and I, we work with women and help them understand what their body, what their cells actually need in order to consistently have good, strong, effective metabolism that can generate ATP. At a minimum, oftentimes women are not eating that quantity and that consistency of protein, fiber, healthy fat, and vegetable with every meal.
Yeah.
And so again, that goes back to, like, it's usually about the right more rather than restrict, and take out.
I love that so much, because food can really either support your hormones, metabolism, and energy, or take away from it. And what you're sharing, Amanda, is that if we really focus on what we're getting more of and what we can include and what we get to have as a part of our healthiest versions of ourselves, that's when we realize that food isn't punishment, that food is really information that is fueling those parts of ourselves. And I love, Amanda, how every month in the membership you do the metabolic lab session where you really educate people about their hormones, about the things that we talk about in these live trainings. And they're able to ask questions about this so that they can follow through and not feel like food is punishment, but it's really helping them on a cellular, deeper level. it's
Mhm.
amazing what people can change, even in just a short period of time by following PFFV and the components that we teach inside of the membership.
Yeah, in fact,
And
actually, last month in the Metabolic Lab, we were talking specifically about that and about key nutrients for early parts of the day and like brainstorming, collaborating, thinking about ideas for breakfast and how to actually make that
Mhm.
happen, where you're hitting your 30 grams or more of protein for breakfast in a way when some of the women were like, I actually don't really feel hungry in the morning, and I'm like, that's a sign that your hormone cues have been skewed for a long time. So one of the ways that we can help bring that into balance. So exactly as I said, it's like real-time support that's actually going to be specific and like practical for what you're living and what you've been experiencing.
Yeah, and I love, Amanda, how probably the same person that you're talking about is the person who showed up to membership, to the mindset and goal setting call and set her goal to eat before 10
Yeah,
a.m.
exactly. Several women are like, okay, and we
Yeah,
talk about that because I'll show them their Dutch curve and they'll see their
yeah,
cortisol curve. It's like, ooh, we need to have fuel before this cortisol awakening response, which is so important because again, it's how you're strategically working with your
hmm
body. And when we
hmm
can see that in your actual data points, right, from comprehensive lab work, that's different than what you typically get at an annual checkup for 15 or 20 minutes, not to villainize any doctors. They're amazing, but the model is set up to diagnose. It's not set up to proactively optimize and really help you live with vitality for the long run. But yeah, so it's like when we can see the puzzle pieces and then be like, okay, now I actually want to get into the lab and get into the membership to have support to actually make this happen in my life. You know.
yeah, yeah. And what we've really talked about so far is the type of intentions that you guys set, right? You want to set intentions for how can I show up or how can I be the healthiest version of myself? What does that look like? The mindset that it would take for you to be able to do that with believing, supporting yourself, and respecting yourself as opposed to criticizing yourself. Some of the food components that Amanda just shared with us physiologically that support you and thinking about how you can add that in so you can have that version of yourself. And then the lifestyle piece, right? That's the other part. It's not just about food, but it is about how you get up in the morning. It's about how you move your body. It's about managing your stress and balancing your nervous system. And those things go beyond food and go beyond dieting and are part of the other things that people don't typically talk about as a part of a comprehensive program. And in addition to mindset, right? Inside the membership, I do the strength training. We're working on mindset and strength training too. It's not just like, okay, we're going to lift these dumbbells over our head. It's like, what would it feel like if you were able to lift these over your head today and you went into your day feeling like the strongest version of yourself? Like these are the kinds of things that we have to make deliberate connections between, because if you're just showing up like throwing weights around, honestly, it doesn't feel important enough. So making
Yeah.
those connections between the physiology inside of the metabolic lab, the intention setting inside of the goal setting and mindset calls, and then the follow through with the strength training in a way that is supportive and encouraging instead of
Mhm.
just a bunch of movements is really a part of what makes a whole person health.
Definitely. I think, Helen, I think we should drop in. I know that we do have, if anyone's interested, if you haven't yet had a chance to check out the Hormone Freedom Foundation's membership, let's drop the link in here so you can check if you're watching live. You can check the link if you're coming back to catch it later. Be definitely look in the comments section. We'll put the link for the Hormone Freedom Foundation's membership because this is such a comprehensive way to have support in a really cost effective. I mean, honestly, Helen, you and I are both like, for a limited
What are
time,
we
we're having
doing?
at a new member rate, which is $147 per month or $1,200 for the entire year of
Mm-hmm.
support. And with that, there's so many different layers built in. We talk about like your goal setting and accountability at the beginning of the month, plus the metabolic lab where you can get your specific, questions and unique considerations answered and, kind of, I'm just going to say like, you know, planned and coached around and get that support. You also have all of the weekly strength training sessions that you do, in addition to even more support with the weight freedom call. So we do want to talk about all of the different benefits and all of the different areas of support that really are included in this foundation's membership.
Yeah, I mean all the things that you just said, Amanda, and we have in between accountability chats. So I was up in the strength training chat this morning. Like, how do we feel today? Do we want to roll around on the floor? do some stretching and strengthening, or do we want to throw weights around? And so I'm waiting for the poll to be answered. I joke and kid, but the truth is, like, how are we feeling in our bodies? So Amanda and I are always asking these questions because we want to tailor all the information, whether it's about hormonal balance or strength training or your mindset tailoring. I also put in, I'm like, what mindset do you want to focus on today? Is it boundary setting or perfectionism? Right? These are all things that we struggle with. And Amanda and I know this because we struggle with them too, which is why we put together a membership where we can really focus on the things that you guys need in order to feel the healthiest version of yourselves that we're talking about today. And inside of the weight freedom calls, there's different topics for different people. We have the GLP-1 focused group. We have a yo-yo dieting focus group. We have body freedom focus group where you're really working on your perception of self. And so all of these pieces are really meant to support you in a very holistic way, and for you to, in a sense, choose your own adventure as well. I mean, you get on a call with Amanda and I, and we will help develop the pathway that's going to be best for you so that you can show up in the places that matter most. I think that's really important for people to hear. It's not just a menu where it's like, oh God, what am I going to choose? Like, we're here to help guide you through that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful place to be in the space of ongoing support. It's not this idea of like, okay, I have to do this all and cram it into a 6-week course or whatever. It's like you have that sustainability because we all know that health is a lifelong experience, right? It's not something that's meant to be like, okay, it's a short, just like we used to go on like, okay, I'm going to do the 21-day fix. And for 21 days, I'll be really intentional with my health. And then after that, who knows what's going to happen. That's our intention. I think, Helen, that we always talk about is like, this is for life. This is to really help you be successful, to live your most vibrant, abundant, present, like connected, informed and empowered and confident version of your health, vitality, ongoing. And there's going to be times when life throws you a curveball. I will say right now, my husband's going through his own health journey. Some of you may know, he had back surgery about 6 weeks ago, and it was something we knew, it was planned. It was going to be a pretty comprehensive procedure, but it was like a benign, very rare type of growth that he's had in his spine for many years, basically said probably since birth. So that part was planned, and we knew, okay, it's going to be a recovery. We're going to take our time. But literally in the last like 4 days, all of a sudden he's come up with a gout in his foot, and that's super, super painful. So it has massively impacted, obviously he's recovering from the back surgery. He doesn't have the same workout routine. Normally he's working out at the gym 5 to 6 days per week. We go on walks all the time. He's very active individual typically. And so that has been modified. And now this new wrench, I guess where I'm going is life will throw you challenges, and it's not going to be a steady state, always feeling perfect. But the difference is when you're in that place of having the tools, having the accountability, having the support, having just the place to land of like, oh, sometimes this is hard and I just need somebody to kind of give me that inspiration, give me that momentum and that refocus. It makes a huge difference because now he's already coming from a place of strength as his foundation. And so the healing process of this gout flare up, the doctor's like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, it's really kind of the byproduct of a lot of the things that were cranking through his system from the surgery and all the medication and post-op. But once we clear that uric acid and get him moving, it's going to be like he's going to rebound so much faster because he's coming from a place of strength, right? And so that was kind of a tangent. But I guess what I'm saying is life will always throw you curveballs, and having this type of support is a game changer for navigating those challenges when they do occur.
Totally agree. And it reminds me, Amanda, of the difference between trying to grin and bear it and white knuckle through every single day versus being the healthiest version of yourself. Your husband's journey right now certainly does not look the same as before he had the surgery. And that's totally okay. So what ends up happening is that when that curveball comes in and you don't look exactly the way that you thought it was supposed to look beforehand, that's when we give up on ourselves. But if your intention and your embodiment and who you want to be is the healthiest version of yourself, you're going to do that as the person you are today, and you're going to feel like it's enough. So it's totally different, right? I mean, for me, when I think about my particular journey and thinking about all of the different diets that I tried, where it was like it was tracking every single day or doing everything perfectly every single day, it really wasn't until that day that a lot of you know the story, that I ran over my scale with my car, and I decided that this wasn't going to be the way I was going to live anymore. And after that scale broke, and I decided that I wasn't going to step on it to decide how I was going to love myself that day, that I would love myself that day for the rest of my life. Yes, I released weight, but I also released the burden of trying to ever look for another diet that was going to fix me again, because I found what was going on within myself, all the things that Amanda talks about with energy and digestion and all of the flow that we get to feel inside of our body is something that I finally felt and understood and respected about myself, instead of trying to fit myself into a mold that was in high expectations that I could never reach, quite frankly, for the long term.
Yeah, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. I love this, really understanding, it is, well, you said something really powerful, Helen, when you said it, learning that that is enough, because small physiological wins day in and day out that are done repeatedly have such a huge, profound impact. And it's that mindset shift to really stay tuned into the small little things of like, ooh, I went to bed a little bit earlier last night. And you know what? It did help me wake up feeling a little bit more energized and ready to go. Or I did notice that I've been eating my PFF8 meals and I don't have the cravings. Like, just this week on a call with another woman that we're working with, and she's like, you know what? We did our symptom check. She's like, I haven't had cravings. I actually don't think about it as much, but it's like celebrating all of these small little things that you do along the way. They are physiological wins that show your body is responding. Your body does want to be in partnership with you and collaborate with you. And you can see that with, like you said, improved digestion. Oh my gosh, I'm having regular bowel movements. And it feels like a complete emptying, which feels nice, because I, in the past, would go 2 to 3 days and it would kind of back up and it would be, my stomach would be distended. Like, those changes all take place, and they're just little notches on the journey along the way, but all of those matter. And when we can really tap into and recognize, acknowledge, validate, and understand that this is enough. This is enough. That is huge. It's, like you said, it's a shift in identity and a shift in approach.
Yeah. I mean, most women are really trying to change their bodies, but I think what's important, Amanda, that you and I do is helping women change their relationship with themselves. Right? Yeah. I mean, your relationship with yourself is the one thing that you will literally have every single day for the rest of your life. And without changing that relationship with yourself, it's hard to honor yourself, respect yourself, and have the confidence to even make those choices in the first place.
I see a question here. Thanks. Good question, Mitzi. She's asking, is the Hormone Freedom Foundation's membership a full year commitment? It is not. You can pay month to month. If right now we have this introductory rate happening for $147 per month. That is, not sure how long it will stay at that rate. So you can definitely do it month to month. It is just a cost savings. If you do want to take advantage of the $1,200 for the full year, then you essentially are getting like 4 months included for free, right? So either way, you can choose the month to month option, or you can choose to have that savings and just say, I'm going to lock it in now at the lowest rate for $1,200 for the full year. So can you go ahead and put the link in the chat one more time for us, Jerry? That would be amazing. Just so people who are new turning in. Hi, Carmen. Great to see you. And Minnie, so glad you guys are here with us live. Any other questions? I'd love to take if there's any other questions about the Hormone Freedom Foundation's membership, or what you're hearing about, maybe would this be a right fit for me, or how can this help you to support you in reaching your health goals as we look ahead. Mitzi, does that answer your question? Great. Yes. Okay, let's see. Anything else here today? Helen?
I was just thinking about Amanda, either prompting, I'm curious from you, or prompting anybody here on the call, what is one thing that the healthiest version of yourself is welcoming in today? What are you choosing to do today, Amanda, that really?
And I do this, I have a journaling practice every single morning. The first thing I do, literally before I even get out of bed, is I meditate. I just put on the timer and I meditate for 10 minutes, which is like breathing until the point where then my thoughts just kind of observe my thoughts coming. And then after meditation is when I do like creative journaling and writing. And at the end of each session, usually it's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it's not very long. Um, I have an identity statement. And one of the parts of the identity statement is that, like, I show up, I am a woman who leads as a divine channel, a radiant and willing temple of health. And I show up with love, acceptance, and recognition. I always say, like, what does, and I call myself my nickname, my alter ego is Magic Mandy, because when I was younger, I went by Mandy. And magic just kind of has like a little sense of like possibility and miracles and like anything is possible, like Magic Mandy. So I was like, what does Magic Mandy, who is a divine channel, a radiant and willing temple of health, a present and edifying wife, mom, and leader of God's business? I call my business Hidden Holistic Health God's business because I'm doing God's work. How does she show up with love, acceptance, and recognition today? I literally write that statement out every single day, and it prompts my mind to answer the question, okay, well, how does that version of me show up? And it's evolved over the years. Like, I didn't always start off with that whole complexity, but what's beautiful about it now, Helen, is the key in terms of, like, I always want to be connected to be doing God's work because I believe that that's important to be congruent, to show up with the highest service and the highest value that I have to offer. And also the health part is the radiant. I want to be full of energy. I want to be full of possibility, but also willingness. Because there have been seasons in my past where it'd be like hard and I just wouldn't feel like, if I made an intention of, like, on Fridays are my swim days, trust me, there are Fridays where I don't feel like going to get in a cold pool and swim. And you know what? I remind myself, like I wrote this morning, like, I'm going to be willing. I'm going to be willing to do the thing. Now I may shorten it. I may not do 1,000 yards. I may do something less, but the willingness has been a really pivotal game changer personally when it comes to how I step into and embody my commitments to health. And sometimes that willingness means, you know what? I have to be willing to take a step back and just really listen to what my body is needing today. I don't have to continually push and do more or work harder. You know what I mean? So it's really that willingness was a beautiful, like, I guess, just like new distinction in terms of how I approach living with health day in and day out. And I recognize, like I said, it's going to be an ebb and a flow, like just like what's happening with my husband right now and his gout flare up. It's not always going to feel and look perfect. That's not what life is. It's about how I'm showing up in the moments of each new experience of life.
Yeah, I have a journaling practice as well, Amanda, but like taking everything that you just said that's so beautiful that you've evolved over time. I guess if we simplified it, it's like the first part is this is how I'm going to show up as the healthiest version of myself and what I'm willing to do. I love that willingness. It takes it out of being like a checklist of what I have to do. It's like the healthiest version of myself is going to show up today as, a caring mother, as a devoted partner, as whatever it is that you want to show up as that day, and what I'm willing to do in order to fulfill that in my health journey, right? It's probably something that a mindset shift or something that you could fuel yourself with, or an action you could take that would really fill you up. And then something else you touched on, Amanda, that's so important, is what you believe, right? It's like, what do I need to believe about myself in order to be able to follow through? And inside the mindset membership, during that goal setting call, one of my favorite things to do is to hear about the things that people are struggling with and come up with affirmations that help them move through, that you could journal with every single day. And typically, at least everybody ends up leaving with an affirmation that can be really helpful to them, because that's that rewiring, Amanda, that you and I talk about all the time, of the brain, where we get to choose what it is that we believe and that we think, so that we can follow through. And that's what this whole live has been about. It's like taking away that willpower and that discipline piece and really allowing yourself, or being willing to do something. Well, how do you do it? You're open with beliefs, you're open with intentions, you celebrate yourself as a healthy person. That's really what it comes down to.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So if anybody else wants to share something that they're doing for themselves, I mean, I very simply, I went for a little jog this morning with my dog. So that was in celebration. I did not want to. My partner wanted to go for a run. I said, leave me alone. And then I said, fine, I'll put my clothes on. You know what, guys? Here's a big secret. I have zero clean laundry. So I had to dig to the bottom of my laundry basket for something that I don't know when I wore it last, so that I could go on my run. So that's my big secret I'll share with you guys today. You know, you don't have to make excuses for not getting it done. You get to show up as a version of yourself that you believe deserves to go for a run or deserves to make that healthy choice for yourself. And I did that today. So there we go.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Oh, it's awesome. Being in practice, doing it together, I feel like that's a huge piece too, is knowing you're not alone, and there's like camaraderie in that, there's support in that, definitely. That's a huge mm-hmm. Wonderful. Cool. Well, I think, like you said, the goal here isn't perfection. It's not, it's not, oh, I'll start again on Monday, or I'll start fresh once it's that black and white, that all or nothing thinking is a place that I had used to live. That used to be like that was my home address. I lived in that place for so many years. And now it's like, okay, that is no longer the land of where, that I choose to operate in. That's what I've found. And that's what we find with the women that we work in. It's like really learning to be in that place of adaptation, learning to make adjustments, to realign, and to continue. It's really about continuity, because what we continue, what we're willing to come back to, what we're willing to learn from and try again and continue to refine, that's where really strong health empowerment and confidence comes from the long term.
Yeah. Well, we certainly hope that anybody, Mitzi or anybody else who's here on the call that wants to explore membership, reach out to me or Amanda. We'd love to support you, or just talk to you about what the track might look like for you to be able to evolve the healthiest version of yourself through this particular program that we have to offer. And it would really be an honor to be able to serve every single one of you. So we'd love to have a conversation with you. You can click the link for the membership community. And if you have any questions, of course, always reach out.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, thank you, ladies, for tuning in. And like I said, if anyone's checking the replay, feel free to pop any questions that you have. We'll come back and check the messages as well. And we'll see you again next week in the same place. Bye.
Bye, guys.